social media streaming version of the BET Awards. Now, I've come to understand that it will be also shown on CBS, which this is, okay, so you can look at that in two ways. CBS, who owns and distributes on Viacom, probably is trying to capitalize on their Black audience. But at the same time, I think it's kind of amazing that CBS, which is not known for really being a channel steeped in cultural diversity, I think it's kind of cool that they're going to subject their audience to watching the BET Awards tonight. Now, question. Who do you have for Album of the Year? I will tell you the nominees. You have DaBaby. You have Meg Thee Stallion with her EP Fever. You have Beyonce for Homecoming. Now, I'm a little bit confused. So, Homecoming, which is the live version of Beyonce's Coachella performance, is nominated for Album of the Year? How? Didn't she perform at Coachella? Was that 2018 or 2017? It wasn't 2019, so how is this nominated for Album of the Year? Roddy Ricch and Her. Now, my personal favorite and who I'm choosing is Roddy Ricch. I think he had a phenomenal album. I think that he's got an amazing future ahead of him. I love his antisocial stance. I love the fact that he always looks like he's unimpressed. I love it. I vote for Roddy Ricch. Now, you know who I don't vote for? Tomorrow night, Fab and Jadakiss will be going head to head in the latest battle of the Verzuz live telestream, where artists go hit for hit, 20 hits in a row to see who is the ultimate king between the two. And tomorrow brings forth Fab and Jadakiss. Now, social media did have a little bit of a problem with this. It seems as though people have not forgotten that Fab, who never really came out and did any, which he doesn't have to, but he never really came out once that video, if you recall, I believe that this was last year. There was a video that surfaced of Fabolous, the rapper, Rock Nation rapper, Def Jam artist. He was, and is he managed by Rock Nation? I feel like he's Rock Nation affiliated. I think that's pretty fair to say. But so Fabolous, who is, I don't think he's married to Emily B, former stylist and Love and Hip Hop alum. I don't think he's married to Emily B, but I think that they've been together for quite some time. Now, she has one daughter that precedes her relationship with him, and then they have, I believe, 2 kids, if not 3 kids, boys together. And right now, Emily is currently pregnant with a girl. And, you know, I think that there is, if you recall, there was a video that surfaced of Emily and Fab along with a couple of bodyguards and her dad, of her and Fab fighting, more like Fab clocking her, in front of their Jersey estate or home. And so needless to say that I think that most audiences right now are having a hard time, you know, dealing with the fact that Fab will be a contender in this Verzuz battle. I guess seemingly believing that he does not deserve to even have the post, which brings me to my next subject. But I have a question to ask you guys. When are we done sticking people to the cross for the mistakes that they've made? Like, so, because I'm torn, right? Here's why I'm torn. I saw the video, like most of you, with Fab and Emily B. Now, I was triggered by that video because of my own personal experience with domestic violence in a prior relationship. Now, I have to be honest with you in telling you that this is someone that I did resume a relationship with after getting into a domestic violence situation with him. And respectfully, I know that there are a lot of people who question my decision as to how I was able to forgive this person, much less to allow him back in my life. Starting today, I constantly attract abundance with my thoughts. I'm going to keep saying it, so just, bear with me. But I realize that it can be very triggering to people, even people who don't know me, to hear me say that I resumed a relationship with someone whose relationship with me resulted in physical violence against me. And I can understand how difficult that could be, especially if you are someone who even knows me. But I had to make the decision for myself as to what would be the parameters, boundaries, and the role in my life with this person post us being in a domestic violence situation. And there are moments where I can honestly say that I don't think about it, that I am able to I've been able to resume a quote unquote normal existence with this person. But I can't tell a lie. There are definitely moments where I will look in this person's face and I will instantly flash back to that moment. And, I may become withdrawn or, quiet in that moment, or, I may just kind of swallow the pill, so to speak, and move on. But it isn't something that I've talked about with this person. And I wonder if Fab and Emily, obviously they're still together. They're having another child. Obviously it's fair to say that the relationship, at least, they've gotten past that ugly moment. So why is it so hard for us to get past it, the public? Because I have to admit, even in my own personal situation, the first thing I thought about when I heard Fab's name was woman beater, which is hypocritical, being that I have my own domestic situation and, somebody could be looking at the person that I'm with and say, woman beater. I don't know if it would necessarily stop me from still relating with this person. But when do we forgive? When do we hang it? Do we hang it up? Are you one of those people that feels like Fab should not be able to make another dime off of anything because he hit his domestic partner? He hit the mother of his children in front of her dad. I kind of wondered that. And is the Verzuz brand, Swiss Beats and Timberland, are they wrong for giving Fab a platform? Now, this isn't the kind of subject that you're going to hear talked about on other podcasts, because people are going to say, well, I don't care. It isn't any of my business. But it's the kind of thing that we all struggle with. Forgiveness. Is there such a thing? Can you truly forgive and forget? And if the people who are involved in the situation can, why is this so hard for the rest of us? Now, I thought about this more and more as the week went on, because I think I initially heard about the Fab and Jada Verzuz battle earlier on in the week. And I read a tweet by one of my fave people. I won't mention their names, but they are a fellow podcaster. And they basically stated, their diss. The context of their tweet was dismay with the idea that the Verzuz brand would allow Fab to be a contender given his domestic violence past. Now, I don't know if the thought process is, well, he never said anything, so is this his domestic violence presence? Or can this really be considered in his past? Now, when someone makes a mistake like that, when someone malfunctions in that way, do we expect them to give kind of more of a by and large, a more public response? I mean, you and I have both heard the adage of, public disrespect does not deserve or is not befitting of a private response or apology. The same way you were able to give public disrespect, you should be able to give public apology. I think what we all have to understand is when we look at a celebrity and when we look at other people and we look at misfortunate things that could happen to them, I remember the brother of the young man who was shot in Texas when the police officer, who was also a resident of the building that he lived in, and his name escapes me, but you guys remember the story. There was a young black man who was pretty well, let's just say that he was financially well off enough to be living in this building where apparently there was some affluence as a prerequisite to living in this building. And there was an officer who not only mistook her apartment, but mistook her floor and allegedly and entered into this man's apartment and shot him because she had thought that her apartment had been intruded on by a black man, when in fact she was the intruder, and she killed this man. And I remember at the court trial, his brother asking if he could give her a hug, and how grossed out that made me feel. I was so disgusted. And I was disgusted at this young man's level of forgiveness. I hated this woman for what she did to this man. And there was his brother asking the court if he could embrace her. And I remember how intolerant I felt in that moment. And I had to think to myself, here's the thing. Because this is going to come up throughout the days. I don't know if you saw this story, but Jimmy Kimmel, who is my mom's favorite late night host, Jimmy Kimmel, who is on an extended hiatus and has a cavalcade of, different celebrities hosting his show in the meanwhile. There are clips that have resurfaced of him from his time on a different network show, and he is performing in blackface.